Good morning, everyone. It's Mwelwa from Financial Insight, and I am in Barcelona, Spain for the 2024 Africa Energy Forum. This year's event is being held in Spain, and it just so happens that the Spanish government has been a huge investor in energy. Circa $2 billion that was invested in South Africa's energy needs. So this place offers a very strategic location closer to big capital that will hopefully bring some innovative projects to the African landscape around energy. So I'll be covering this event for the next 4 days. So I'd like you to stay tuned and get to know some of the insights that will be coming from this year's event. One of the things, I'm looking at the program now, it shows that this year they're adding on a few new features, such as the breakfast debates that will be happening every morning, as well as breakfast briefings. And in addition to that, there'll also be closed-door roundtable meetings. So lots of exciting discourse that will be happening at this year's energy event. So I'd like you all to stay tuned to our platforms and get to know.
Right. Lufubu Power Company is a special purpose vehicle developing the hydropower potential on the Lufubu River in Northern Province between Mpulungu and Kasama, and in Sama districts. 163 megawatts. We have been developing this project for some time now, and it's now ready for financing. Now that the Zambian fiscus is being resolved, which was one of the key conditionalities for us to be able to move forward. So it's 163 megawatts in Northern Province in a very high rainfall area, where we have been flooding when the rest of the country has been in droughts. And the project is a key mitigation generation to always work when we have droughts in the south, as we currently have. So that's what the Lufubu project is about, yes.
Absolutely, and obviously coming to AEF in Barcelona, it's a good place to network, meet other project developers as well as financiers. Are you able to tell us about how some of the meetings you've had over the last 3 days and how promising things are looking going forward?
Right. Now that the government has moved towards debt restructuring, most potential lenders to the project wanted some clarity on how the Zambia's debt situation was going to be. As you know, we developed these projects under government interpretation agreement, and also we deploy this power in Zambia, basically either through ZESCO or through the mines. The lenders want to see that that the economic conditions have improved, and we're getting positive responses with what the government has done. And now we are here to be able to re-engage with potential lenders to the project so that we can be able to move forward towards financial close.
Absolutely. Now, considering that Zambia is currently experiencing a significant power deficit, how is Lufubu positioning itself to also be a part of the solution for the electricity generation in Zambia?
All right. See, the Lufubu project, we conceived it as to mitigate the droughts in the south. If, say, for example, today the Lufubu was up and running, we would have had 163 megawatts available on the grid. Actually, it would have mitigated the current load shedding that we have. Long term, the project has been planned to be to double that capacity, so to come to 326 megawatts. So if we had 326 megawatts available, the disruption that we are seeing in the country would have been significantly mitigated. And for now, we want to work very closely with the key stakeholders who are the main agencies in government, who do the licensing to allow these projects to go, so that we can be able to come to a cross line and ensure that in future, when we have got the droughts as we have had, that the Lufubu project will be available to mitigate the situation as we have. It is unacceptable that we have potentials in the north, but we can't somehow work collaborating in ensuring that we bring this capacity online. We have internal issues which we must resolve in ensuring that projects like this take off. We owe it to everybody to ensure that we are doing these projects and mitigate conditions that we are going through.
All right, absolutely. And the final question, so with the various engagements that you've had, how optimistic are some of the investors and potential project developers looking at Zambia? And what is your key takeaway from this year's event?
Okay, the key takeaway is that the potential lenders are recognizing that we have made progress towards this structuring and putting the country back on a footing where it can support new debt, especially from the private sector. So that's that's the main takeaway. But we're also hearing some very positive things about Zambia now. I think we have got an immense opportunity for us to put our house in order, move very quickly in ensuring that we come to the market, cleaned out our act, so that we can be able to put the country back on the investment path and sort out some of the current problems that we have.
Absolutely. No, Mr. Katai, thank you so much for speaking to us. We look forward to engaging with you and wish you all the success in your project.
Thanks, Mwelwa, and you're most welcome, and we hope that we'll be able to engage fully when we're back home.
Absolutely.
My name is Steve Diwa, the Executive Director of the Southern African Power Pool Coordination Center. I'm here at Africa Energy Forum in Barcelona, Spain. We're just coming off a panel which was entitled Bolstering Transmission, a very interesting topic. And one of the issues we're looking at is, let's look back and see the history of the development of transmission infrastructure. How has it been priced? How has it been funded? But more importantly, how do we learn from lessons that we're seeing, and how do we try and develop how we can both finance transmission and get more transmission going? Because one of the underlying issues was transmission is actually a driver to development of generation to meet demand in the region. We've heard stories from MOTRACO as a success story of an asset that has been developed by 3 different utilities in 3 countries. And a success story. We've heard about Copperbelt Energy Corporation from Zambia, how as a private entity they've developed transmission. And we're telling our own story that we're looking at trying to see the development of regional transmission assets through innovative ways of pricing them. We've heard from financial institutions, the RFC, how they are driving private investment in transmission in Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania. We also heard the South African story, how DBSA is part of the parties trying to look at how we can get private investment into transmission. We think it's an important story, and as SAP, we want to leverage on that and see private investment come into transmission to increase the level of trading in the region and help have more energy to the SADC community. Thank you.
My name is Mwelwa. I'm one of the group executives at the Development Bank of Southern Africa. I'm here at the Africa Energy Forum in Barcelona, speaking on pertinent type of topics, including energy, including transmission, pertinent topics to unlock infrastructure investment on the continent, of course. So I'm one of the group executives responsible for deal execution at the bank.
Absolutely, and we just came off a panel discussion where you were speaking. Are you able to tell us about the key highlights of what you spoke about and what the key takeaways were from that panel discussion?
Absolutely. I mean, we had such a fantastic panel discussion on transmission infrastructure. How do we unlock transmission infrastructure investments, the solutions, the key challenges to those solutions, defining the problem statement, why we are not able to unlock investment in that space, in transmission. And of course, as you know, transmission is quite important in terms of unlocking energy generation capacity. We want to ensure that we integrate as much renewables as possible over the next decade or so in order to start implementing the energy transition. But not only that, it's also about as well as electrifying as many people on the continent as possible, besides achieving the objectives around net zero, around decarbonization and the likes. So we covered quite a lot of aspects, as I was saying, the problem statements in terms of unlocking investments in that space. We covered aspects such as project preparation, ensuring that projects in transmission are well prepared. So there's a need for project preparation funding to ensure that those types of projects are well prepared to entice investors, of course, to invest in transmission projects. We want to bring in funding and investment capital from the private sector, right? So we got to make sure that we've got a conducive environment for investors to come and invest in transmission. So we touched on aspects such as cost-reflective tariffs, where the regulators in the different countries across the African continent have to come to the party to ensure that investors are able to obtain a return on their investment if they are to invest in transmission. We touched on aspects around capacity, skills capacity to implement these transmission projects. EPC contractors are quite important to come on the continent. We want to set up local manufacturing on the back of transmission programs as well, in order to stimulate job creation as well. So it's not about energy generation, it's also about economic growth as well, in terms of job creation, ensuring that we create jobs in the process. We also spoke about adopting a programmatic approach. A fragmented type of an approach is not going to assist us in terms of mobilizing significant investment in the space. So we gotta develop a programmatic approach, streamlined, standardized procurement processes in order to ensure that investors get comfortable that we've got a consistent and sustainable pipeline of projects that they can invest in, so that they start setting up shop within those countries where transmission projects are being invested. All in all, those are the key topics that we touched on. The one key aspect that from a financing point of view, we touched on credit enhancement mechanisms. Aspects such as blended finance were quite important. They came to the fore. We discussed the need for concessional loans to ensure that transmission projects are affordable for the end user, of course, such that the tariffs that the end user are paying are affordable and electricity remains affordable to our people on the continent. So all in all, those are some of the key topics that we touched on. Key takeaways, we want to do quite a lot in this space. The DBSA is one of the leading development finance institutions on the continent. We want to finance infrastructure, energy infrastructure. We want to finance transmission infrastructure. We want to unlock, well, energy overall is quite important to unlocking other infrastructure projects on the continent. We want to finance cross-border transmission across different countries in order to ensure that there is trading of energy between different countries on the continent. All in all, those were the key takeaways. Quite a riveting discussion that we had on this topic.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us. So to all our listeners and viewers, stay tuned for more insights from the Africa Energy Forum in Barcelona, Spain. This has been Mwelwa Chibesakundawa at the DBSA stand.
Thank you.
My name is Vusi Gama. I'm the board chair for MOTRACO. Mainly, it's a transmission company that is owned by three countries, which is South Africa, Mozambique, and Eswatini. The key takeaways from this discussion is that it's important that there are more investments in transmission infrastructure, which is usually a challenge to do investment on a transmission infrastructure. The reason why you need to invest on transmission infrastructure is so that you can evacuate the power, because we've been talking about IPPs, independent power producers, putting together generation plants that are actually meant to then transmit the energy to the end consumer, which is the customer. Now, it's usually a challenge when you don't have the transmission infrastructure. So the main discussion today was to see how foreign direct investments could be done similar to the way investments are done in power generation projects, for transmission projects, to take the energy to the end consumer. So that was the main gist of the discussion today.
Hi, it's Mwelwa, and this is day 4 at Africa Energy Forum, the final day of the 2024 edition of the Africa Energy Forum in Barcelona, Spain. I've been covering this particular event on behalf of Financial Insight. This year's event obviously brought together key stakeholders from the investment community, for 4 days of dialogue around how they can get projects off the ground. Particular issue was around transmission. I attended one panel discussion, which was really exciting, about how transmission projects can actually spur more generation financing to be released. For me, Mwelwa Chibesakundawa, at the 2024 edition in Barcelona of AEF, stay tuned for more insights and get to know.